Well, welcome back to Excel in Retirement Podcast. I'm your host, Andy Traub. I'm joined today, as always, by David Treese. In our last episode, we talked about really the windows of time when you should not make financial decisions. And today, we're going to talk about times when you should make financial decisions because we want to help you excel in your retirement. We want to help good people make great financial decisions. So today, David, you're going to guide us through times when people should be making big financial decisions, which is kind of scary to some people, but we're going to help them.
Okay, sounds good, Andy. Appreciate it.
So, the first thing we're going to talk about is you should make financial decisions early as you possibly can.
Yeah,
So, tell us some windows of time where people can start to make big financial decisions. They may not feel that big, but when they're young and healthy, why are those two attributes so important?
we offer our employees here at my company a 401k, and after they've been here for 90 days, they qualify to participate in that, and we give them a match and so forth. And it made me really happy that one of our interns decided to participate in the 401k, and the intern's pretty young, and so what that does is give him a long time horizon while he can save and earn money, because the biggest friend we have in investing is time. And so when we have a long time horizon, we let our money work for us. And that is the biggest benefit. So getting started early, and every time we have an opportunity to get a pay raise, we should think about adjusting that, or at least evaluating it. It's one of those things that this is a pitfall maybe that I see a lot of times is people don't readdress these things. They might work for an employer for 5 or 6 or 7 years, and they're contributing the same level they were when they first started, and their income's gone up 4 or 5 times since then with different pay raises every year. And so it's something we want to address to give ourselves the highest chance of success.
Well, time can be your friend, right?
Yes.
And so the idea, one of the things that we had worked on together was just to give people a very concrete idea of the benefit of time and why starting early can be so beneficial. And this is something obviously you can help your kids with, right? And help them understand. But if you were to start off, I don't know how old your intern is, but if at 25 years old, if you said, "Hey, I want to have $1 million by the time I'm 65," and you do a 7% average of interest, which is not, super high or super low. But if you started at 25 years old and you put away $380 a month, which would be 182,000 total, you'd end up with, at that percentage, $1 million. So $380 a month, $182,000 total. 182,000 becomes $1 million. That's just
What
math.
what rate of return?
7%.
7%. That's
All right.
amazing.
And if you waited 15 years until you're 40 to start, and you said, okay, I want to make $1 million on time I'm 65, right? You would have to put in $1,200 a month
Mm,
and a total of 370,000. So you'd have to put in twice as much to get the same amount, right?
that's a hard hill to
And
climb.
that idea is just the compound. It's the benefit of time. And listen, it's a discipline, right? So what are some people you think of, some of your best clients that are doing automatic things? Like, are they making a decision one time and saying, David, let it roll? What are good people doing to make great financial decisions?
Yeah, we often automate investing for folks, and so there's a little bit that comes out every month. And there's some people that have different side hustles, and we have one lady that teaches classes, and when she gets done teaching a class at the end of the semester, she gets paid, I guess, and so she'll take a portion of that money and invest it, and so she's saving that for different things around the house and whatnot, and so it allows you to have a strategy for that. I think at the end of the day, though, to be a wise steward, and we talk a lot about stewardship, Andy, I think the concept of doing something is better than nothing. I think a lot of people get stuck thinking I can't do anything, but I think that there's a spiritual discipline to this. And I think that the good Lord rewards us when we are faithful, whether it's $25 or $5,000 or whatever the amount is. We get started with something and we start working towards it. And I think it just compounds over time, is how that tends to work. And I think there's that mentality that if you're a saver, that's a different mentality than someone that's a spender. And of course, we want to enjoy the good gifts that God gives us and enjoy things, but in the same respect, we want to save for another day where we might not be able to work, or we don't want to have to work as hard as we're working right now in retirement. And so that's the idea.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So that the other part of it, and we don't talk about insurance a lot on the show, but the other best time to buy insurance is when you are healthy,
Right.
right?
Right, for sure. Yeah. Life insurance is never going to be cheaper than it is today for you, typically, because we're one day closer to eternity with each passing day. And then you've got the unknown of what could happen to your health. And so,
Mhm.
typically, when we're younger, we're healthier. And so we can get better rates on life insurance. And also, it helps lock in your insurability. And it allows you, even if you don't have responsibilities today, like a family or a mortgage or something, it allows you to lock in that insurability for when you do have those things and you're going to want coverage in the future. And so that can be something important unless you're just independently wealthy and whatnot. But I would say if you have any debt and you can't self-insure, you should probably have some sort of life insurance.
Yeah, interesting little story I wanna share. I had and this is another reason to get insurance as early as you can before you've had really any issues that have come up, because sometimes the system is the system and it's out of your hands. But I had a situation where, because on your when you apply for insurance, they ask these questions, and one of them is, "Have you ever been denied health coverage?" or something like that. And I had this really weird thing happen. This is probably 15 years ago where I went to go get health insurance for something, and they, like, found out I went to the chiropractor 3 times or something, and they denied me health insurance
Oh no.
because they said I had back issues or something like that. And I was like, "It says on there I went because, like, my back was sore because I whatever, was at my desk too long or something." It wasn't,
Right.
um, but I had a health insurance company deny me health insurance. And
Mm,
so when I went to if I had had to go get I had already bought life insurance by then for, 30 years, whatever. But if I had to go on an application, say, "Have you ever been denied health insurance?" I would have had to say yes.
yes.
And it was just because of a complication, right? Something weird happened. And so my point is, it the most young people feel very little urgency to do anything related to life insurance.
And it's normally pretty cheap. I started a policy in my 20s and I have several now, but it was like a 30-year term for 100,000 and I'm paying $10 a month,
Yeah,
till I was from
yeah,
like 26 to 56 or something like
yeah,
that.
absolutely,
And yeah, I mean, I couldn't do that now. If that renewed, it would be probably 2 or 3 times as much minimum.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So first area or window of time to make a financial decision is when you're young and healthy, right? Get in the
Right.
habit and do that. Another, let's go all the way to the other end is you're getting near retirement.
Yes.
Right? So you're getting to where you're thinking about, "Hey, my yearly income from my job is going to stop, or my monthly income or biweekly income." So what are the decisions that people need to be making that are really important as they're getting close to retirement?
Yeah, you have all these ages that you look forward to as you're coming up, and then there's a long 20, 30 years with nothing to think about. But, really the first thing that comes up is 59 and a half. And if you are still working for an employer, you often can do what's called an in-service transfer, and you may be able to roll part of or your whole 401k out to a self-directed IRA. It's not a taxable event. It's a lateral move from one custodian to the next. And what that allows you to do oftentimes is just to have more freedom for how your money is invested and more liberty to make your investment decisions. And that's one thing that comes up. Then you've got a lot more choices that you can do. Also, you could start distributions from an IRA or a Roth IRA without a penalty at 59 and a half. And so if
Mhm.
you were to take money out of those accounts, the IRS would charge a 10% penalty before then. And so you can begin that. If you were able to take an early retirement, you could start retirement income from those accounts at age 59 and a half.
Yeah, and so again, those are I think about this, and this is maybe oversimplified, but I think it works, is I don't remember the last time, or maybe you do, that you had to, like, go get your number before they could, like, let you go sit, or
Right.
you had to go get a number before, like, you pick up your meal, they give you a number, and they're like, "57," and you're like, "Oh, that's me," right? And I've seen it where it's like, if you don't hear your number, you miss out, right?
Right.
And I think about there's times in our lives when it's like, "This is your window, this is your time, it's 59 and a half. You need to, like, they're calling you. You need to this is the time to make that decision." Let's talk about also kind of the larger idea though of moving to a more conservative, approach to, to your dollars,
Right.
so that you can ensure you're not losing, right?
Right.
You're not you're stepping out of the fluctuations of the market. So that's an important thing to do as you get closer to retirement.
Yeah, for sure. When we're in our 40s and we have a long time horizon before we're going to retire, like I may work another 20 or 25 years. And so if 25 or 30% of my money goes away, I've got the benefit of a long time horizon before I'm going to use that money. And so when we're within 5 years of retirement, Andy, we are possibly going to use that money sooner rather than later. And so we really advocate for switching from an accumulation stance like we're in when we're younger, where we're just trying to accumulate, 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 to an income and distribution stance where we can sustainably take withdrawals off of our accounts. The thing that we're trying to achieve with that is we just don't want to run out of money before we run out of life, and we're trying to project out and make our money last as long as possible. That's the name of the game.
Right. Right. So, and are there people that, um, are there people that you've experienced or worked with that have taken their hands off their money so much that they sort of forget to put their hands back on the wheel, right? They've
Yeah.
automated things so much that they're like, "Oh, it's fine. I wanna let it ride." That they forget at some point you do need to go back in there and regain control.
Yeah, years ago when I worked with my dad up in North Carolina, this couple came in and they were in their early 60s and they had really taken their hands off the wheel. They came in and they had a grocery bag full of account statements, and that was their briefcase. And they we laid them all out on the conference table just to try to see what they had,
Yeah.
and they're sitting there and we're sitting there organizing them and adding them up. And then I remember my dad asked him, he's like, "Okay, how much money do you think you have?" And the man said, "Well,
Wow.
I have $600,000." And we asked the lady, and she was like, "I think we have about 950,000." And they really had closer to 800,000. So they didn't even have, they were off by over $100,000 each way.
Wow.
It's just that is not a good approach, especially as you get to retirement. I guess if you're the kind of person that you have a hole burned through your wallet or your, how does that saying go? A hole burned through your
Yeah.
pocket.
Yeah,
You have money.
well, money's burning a hole in your wallet, I mean, you need to
Yeah,
spend it,
yeah.
you know?
If you feel like that, maybe you should use the grocery bag scenario and just put your statements in there if that helps you have success. Typically, you wanna have a more active role than that, and so that you can understand and anticipate and make, choices, because I don't remember all the details of that, it's been over 10 years ago now, but I would imagine that that stuff was getting auto rebalanced and some manager
Yeah.
at fund company was doing it automatically and not considering any details about their life or who they were. They were probably just looking at their dates of birth and doing whatever they wanted to do, whether and not knowing if they're going to work for 5 years or 10 years or if they've already quit working. And so that is not the best way to go about things, I would say.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, the last window of opportunity or time that we really want to encourage people, excuse me, to make financial decisions is when opportunities come up because of new laws or legislations, or I guess you could even say, um, when new things or opportunities are created. One of the things I think about with this is that, and I believe it's happening or has happened recently, where new Americans are going to have $1,000 account in their name when they're
Yeah,
born, right?
right.
It's like, hey, let take advantage of that, right? What are some other sort of things that people could consider and go, oh, I need to be paying attention to the news because this happened and I need to take advantage of it.
It seems like typically there's not a ton of legislative changes when it comes to uh, how retirement accounts and things that affect it work. Over the last going on 10 years now, there's been a lot with the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act of 2017, I believe it was, lowering our taxes. And then we had the Secure Act 1.0 and then the Secure Act 2.0. These things affect retirees quite a bit. So when we see things like tax rates going down, like we did, and it was initially a window from 2018 to 2025, that can often be a prime opportunity to whether that's taking money out of our tax deferred account and putting it
Right.
into a tax free account, or just allows us to have more money in our pockets so that we can build up an emergency fund and
Yeah.
things like that. Fortunately, that law was made permanent with the one big beautiful bill last July, so we have a window of time where tax rates are historically low. That is causing the deficit to go up tremendously. So nobody knows what the future holds, but it doesn't seem like that can stay around forever. And so a
Right.
lot of times people have a window right now, if we're over 59 and a half, to begin taking money out systematically out of our IRAs and 401ks and putting it in tax free accounts. And I think that this can be very beneficial to folks if tax rates go up in the future,
Yeah.
because we're choosing to pay taxes while tax rates are lower.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think
And
eh, go
understanding that, tax rates can and will change. We don't know which direction, because we don't know who's in office and how much debt they're willing to, you know, willing to stomach, right? But again, it's paying attention to that. And again, I think if you're a business owner, understanding there's different advantages that pop up and come in and go away, and was depreciation, things like that. Even the way you structure your business in different states and things like that for tax advantages. There's all these different variables, and again, that's why you need to have a planner that you're talking with actively, and you're not just getting your financial advice from TikTok or YouTube videos. Again, it's not that those things are all inaccurate, but that those people are out there to try to. One of my favorite people to follow on the internet is someone who literally all she does is talk about bad financial advice on the internet.
really?
But the
Okay.
irony is she's on the internet. But sort of her tagline is, if you want real advice from a real person, call me. You know what I mean? But she basically takes all these people that talk about, oh, I don't pay tax on my Lexus or my boat or whatever, and he's like, let me tell you why this person's going to go to jail. You know what I mean? It's really interesting. So the encouragement I would have is, reach out to someone like David, and again, I'm going to put URLs in the show notes. But David, you've got one that people can go to right away, right now on their phone, and they can sign up for your newsletter, which you send out every week. What is that URL?
Yeah, it's Excel in Retirement, EXCELIN retirement.com. Yeah, that is comes out every Wednesday morning early, and just got some cool pictures of my family in there, some different trips and uh, tricks and tips and so forth in there with that.
Well,
But you
trips too. I know you take pictures of your
yeah,
family on
yeah,
your trips, so
we
that's
do.
true as well. It's
Sure,
trips,
sure. Maybe
tricks,
that
tips,
was
all the
a
above. Yeah.
Freudian slip there. So,
No, no, that's true, it's true, it's
yeah, yeah.
true. But I do encourage you. I mean, I think that one of the other things is we get caught up in the news cycle, right? I mean, some people more than others, but there are things that you need to be grounded in, and your newsletter helps people. I'm a subscriber. Is it helps you stay grounded in financial decisions, right? And sometimes you do talk about the news, right? You do talk about what's going on in that regard. But there's other things that are not timely, they're timeless, right?
Yes.
Meaning they were true 50 years ago and they're going to be true 50 years from now. And so that's the other part of the newsletter that I want to encourage people to get, because it will remind you of how to make those good financial decisions on a week to week basis.
Yeah.
Um, so, David, just a quick recap. We talked about, make good financial decisions very early when you're young and healthy because compound interest will be your friend and rates will be lower for things like insurance. Then also make financial decisions when you are getting closer to retirement, reallocation, and making sure that you sign up for distributions and things like that. And then also pay attention to when things are changing within the tax environment because of laws that can benefit you. Those are all important things. And the last thing I would say is just make sure you have someone. David is the person that I would point you to that can help you navigate those decisions, so you're not just doing them on your own.
Yeah. Thank you, Andy. You did a great job with this.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Investment advisory services offered through Creative One Wealth, LLC, a registered investment advisor. Clients excel in Creative One Wealth or unaffiliated entities. We are not affiliated with or endorsed by any government agency and do not provide tax or legal advice. Investing involves risk, including the loss of principal. No investment strategy can guarantee a profit or protect against loss. Licensed insurance professional. Insurance and annuity products are backed by the financial strength and claims paying ability of the issuing insurance company. Investment advisory services are provided in accordance with a fiduciary duty of care and loyalty that includes putting your interests first and disclosing conflicts. Insurance services have a best interest standard, which requires recommendations to be in your best interest. Advisors may receive commission for the sale of insurance and annuity products.